हेलो 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 हेलो
स्ट्रीमिंग सॉफ्टवेयर स्ट्रीमिंग सॉफ्टवेयर
हेलो 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 हेलो
യൂട്യൂബ് ഇവിടെ നമ്മൾ സ്ട്രീമിംഗ് സ്റ്റാർട്ട്
हेलो 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 हेलो
ഈ സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ OBS ഇത് ഫ്രീ സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ വേറെ നമ്മുടെ പർച്ചേസ് ചെയ്തോളൂ എക്സ്പയർ
हेलो हेलो
അല്ല വീമിങ്സ് ആണല്ലോ വീമിങ്സിനകത്ത് നമുക്ക് വേറെ ഒത്തിരി കാര്യങ്ങൾ
हेलो
ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല പക്ഷെ നമുക്ക് നോർമൽ വർക്കിനൊക്കെ ഇതിൻ്റെ ആവശ്യമില്ല
जी हेलो 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 जी हेलो 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 हेलो
ഞാൻ വേറെ ദിവസം ഇനി അടുത്ത വർക്കിന് പോകുമ്പോൾ
हेलो हेलो
ശരിയായി കാണിച്ചു തരാം ചോദിക്കാൻ ചെയ്യാൻ എളുപ്പം അങ്ങനെ വലിയ പണിയൊന്നും സിമ്പിളോ
എനിക്ക് ശരി പോലെ അറിയതല്ല കമ്പ്യൂട്ടർ ബേസിക് അറിയാം പക്ഷേ ടെക്നിക്കൽ ഇത്
हेलो 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 हेलो
സ്റ്റുഡന്റ് ഈവെന്റിൽ പോകുന്നത് മനസ്സിലാവില്ല ഇത് പ്രാക്ടിക്കൽ അത് ചെയ്യുന്നത് മനസ്സിലാവും
നമുക്ക് ഒന്ന് പഠിക്കണമെന്ന് ആഗ്രഹം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു
हेलो 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 जी हेलो
ഇതൊന്നും ഞാൻ നാട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് പഠിച്ചിട്ട് വന്നതല്ല ഇവിടെ വന്നതിന് ശേഷം എല്ലാം നമ്മൾ കണ്ട്
അത് ശരി
നാട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് വരുമ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് ഈ ക്യാമറ ഒന്നും ഓപ്പറേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ അറിയത്തില്ല നമ്മൾ കണ്ടിട്ട് പോലും ഇല്ല ഇങ്ങനത്തെ ക്യാമറ ഒന്നും ഇവിടെ വന്നപ്പോഴല്ലേ
ആ സമയത്തില്ല वो रबर कहाँ रखे हो क्या रबर कौन सा रबर क्या अंदर
नहीं निकल
भाई मैंने कुछ हाथ नहीं लगाया भाई
वो क्या तुम उसमें डाला वो
तुम्हारे बैग को मैंने छुआ ही नहीं ये रखा
ഞാൻ ചെയ്തിട്ട് പോകുന്നു മാറുന്നു അത് ഞാൻ കുറച്ച് പറയുന്നുണ്ട്
मेमोरी कार्ड काटेंगे इसमें ओ
20
मेमोरी कार्ड काटे
ഇന്നലേക്ക് 21 ആയിരുന്നു 22 ആ 23
चलो बाबा जरा मेरी 10 15 अच्छी फोटो लेना
हले
ये लेना पड़ता है थोड़ा ये लेवल लेता है
इन दोनों को ना ये लो एक दो तीन चार मई से लेना चार मई को फोन करके रख दो
बढ़ाना छोड़ के कम करें ऑटोमेटिक क्या हो
ठीक हले 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 ठीक हले 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 ठीक हले 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 ठीक हले 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 ठीक हले 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 ठीक हले हले ठीक हले 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 ठीक हले 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 ठीक हले 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 हले
पूरा सही है ना अब सही है नहीं आ रहा पूरा ऑन कर
हले 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 हले
सही है
हले 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 हले
और पोडियम भी थोड़ा
हले 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 ठीक हले हले
Kevin Hall, good morning. How are you?
ठीक हले हले
पोडियम
Good?
हले ठीक
So much cold, huh?
थोड़ा
ठीक हले हले हले
If you have me something, bro, you know?
ठीक हले 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 हले
बड़ा बनना है बड़ा
हले ठीक हले 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 हले
अन्ना भाई थोड़ा डाउन करो
हले ठीक हले 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 ठीक हले हले हले
मैं भी नहीं लूँगा
हले 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 ठीक हले
थोड़ा बेस डाउन करो बेस
हले ठीक हले 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 हले
हल्का सा वॉल्यूम बढ़ लगा
हले हले ठीक हले हले हले
अब सही है ना भाई आ जाओ
ठीक हले 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 ठीक हले ठीक हले हले हले
यहाँ का चार भी चल दिया दो वहाँ रखा है चलो चालू है
क्या है यार? ऐसा तो लग रहा है।
मैंने दिलों को उम्र देना حاجز هنا من شالها.
كانوا موجودين تو يجربون الصوت بس ما ادري وين راحوا. بس كرسي واحد جنب يعني شوي يدف كذا ويحطه هناك على جنب. شفت الثلاثة اللي على نفس الاستقامة يحط لهم رابع.
طيب ما يصير جو
مرة بارد بس أنا قاعدة أقول يمكن لو يخففون شوي عن المكيف. يلا
هذا شيء هنا ولا يجيب لك انت؟
في هذه.
بس كرسي واحد. عشان قبل المخ لا احنا عايزين فلوس عايزين ابو الشراء ابو الشراء عايزين فلوس هذا مش سمعت استاذ سعيد هذا دولة العلم
لا هذا لا كرسي معليش هذا اللي له ظهر عشان يصير زي باقي الكراسي.
هي غريبة ليش فوق كذا؟
Excuse me, not this one. Yeah, the other one.
طيب يرجع عشان ما يكون غلط السلام.
لا اي صح عشان ما يصير مختلف عن ال
يجيب له واحد بس يساعده.
Asli kami yang ada tadi. Let me take one so far.
forward, bring little left. Make it, أيوه أيوه. Make space between the shape. Okay. Yeah, good, خلاص هنا. تمام. أيوه. هلا يزيد الله يعافيك. بس انت الاوراق اللي كانت موزعه امس على الكراسي تحتاجونها انتم اليوم؟ خلاص اوكي. في ترتيب معين للصف الاول ولا ما عندك فكره؟ خلاص خلاص شكرا.
अभी इसकी फोटो लेना कैसा लेके खींचो आए सो कम करो 100-200 कम करो बस 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 ये लाइट ऊपर मारा
هلا محمد.
जिससे करेंगे तो फ्लैश भी जाएगा ऊपर मारो मारो
بس على الصف الاول في ترتيب معين في حد مهم بيجلس. بس
आए सो बड़ो
لا
عايز
ما في
تدخل
أحد
في
مرة
الدكتور.
قصدي يعني مستوى عالي عشان بس إذا دخلك عدو غير الدكتور يزيد. الدكتور يزيد خلاص يمسك الأول كراسي ترازيد كرسي عشان الجلسة. طيب خلاص زي الصورة. يلا يلا مع السلامة.
चलो बाहर तकलीफ भेज देगा इसको ऐसे ही लगाना है ओ बाबा
What do you think? Should we keep?
A little push to the backside if someone is doing the speech.
Because if someone will come, they might come for.
Yeah, but some people lost moving around.
Ah.
See, so if we put a little bit
So let's put it a little bit in the back. Test, test. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming again to the second Innovation District Forum. My name is Abrar Qurashi, and it's my honor to welcome you all again for this incredible forum. We welcome you all again to this great session. To set up the stage, we would like to highlight on what happened yesterday. We spoke yesterday about multiple subjects as we had 4 themes. Okay, good. You want to take another photo?
No, I'm just taking for just setting the camera.
Take a photo like this, right? I want to keep the branding of... Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Abrar Al-Qurashi, and it's my honor to welcome you all to this great session. Does it show? Okay. I want this to be shown, huh?
Yeah.
Hold this.
Be careful, please. It's okay?
You can do it like this as you are reading, right?
Oh, okay.
To show that you are yeah. This one. So it shows. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second day of the Innovation District Forum. Starting with the opening remarks, we welcome Dr. Yazid Al-Askar, Acting Innovation Development Vice Governor at RBI. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So for the camera,
The camera is also
yeah, but they want to know where better, like, shall we keep the moderator here or the system? Yeah, the one who will be introducing.
It's in center, yes. Sir, photo लेना तो ले लो एक बार.
Are okay? The ready? Test? This is higher. Test? This lady is higher.
The voice?
Yeah. Test 1, 2, 3. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Test. Hello.
आप मेरे पहले ले लो फोन पे यहाँ पे पड़ा ना वहाँ
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I just... Show me.
Today 1 o'clock finish?
Today we do. Around 2. Because after 2 we'll have networking and stuff.
AC show call chief.
Huh?
AC chief.
Still cold, huh?
Just VIP is coming and then just not.
Sir, can you please increase the AC a little bit?
Decrease?
Increase the temperature. Little.
Decrease?
Yeah. It's a little
I
cold.
think
sir.
VIP is coming and then not.
طيب خلاص I will call the game. What's the temperature? Can you call
Sir, it's-
can you call the guys? Yeah, like let them reduce it a little bit.
VIP आएगा ना भाग के जाता बोलता नहीं बैठता VIP इतना देर बैठो उनको एकदम साइलेंट लोगों तो ठंडे में मरना है क्या
थोड़ा सा टेम्परेचर बढ़ा दीजिए।
VIP नहीं बैठता इतना
मोहसिन ये ऑडिटोरियम आके इसकी इसका टेम्परेचर एडजस्ट कर दे
वो एक बार ऐसे कर दीजिए।
ऑडिटोरियम हाँ दानिश को कॉल करो ना कम कर दो वापस यार वो मुझे वो बोला है ना अब्दुल अलबर्रा जो इवेंट कोऑर्डिनेटर है वो बोला है
मैं भी बात करेगा मुश्किल है
दानिश को मेरा बोल दे भाई इधर ही होगा कहीं आसपास हुआ मैंने देखा है उसे लगता है तुम पूछो उसे अपडेट लो कहाँ है नीचे 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 ग्राउंड फ्लोर ऑडिटोरियम मीटिंग हॉल नहीं है इसका नाम ऑडिटोरियम है ग्राउंड फ्लोर
तो थोड़ी देर में कुछ ज़्यादा ही ठंडा हो जाता है।
जैकेट वैकेट हो तो हो जाता है ज़्यादा
हाँ वो भी
You're responsible for the heat, for the electricity and the air conditioning. It's very cold. Very, very cold.
I call the electrician, sorry, the AC technician, he will come in a while. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله.
صراحة برد لا يغفر. انت عارف ايش المشكلة؟
سمي.
نشوف انه ايه جوالي انا شفت جوالي
لقيتيه؟
دكتور هو المشكلة عشان كذا حتى الابتكار بجدة كان هو المرشح بس قال لا أبوي تعبان ما أقدر أنا ما صراحة حسيت شوي كذا تعرف إن هو هنا أي مرة صعب صراحة
يعني you're not there at the moment.
هو جاء أمس
إيه موجود سلمت عليه
شفت لا جاء
ظهر إنه جا وممدى.
أقول لك الدكتور يزيد يقول لي كيف تضمن إن الحضور جاء وإذا ما جاء حضور طب أنا إيش أسوي؟ نرسل هو لو جي تي أو جاء يجي أعذب
إيه؟
جي تي أو 30 الكرسي هذا اللي انت في الدورات اذا جاء هنا يحس
Hello. Okay.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بس طيب بس انت بس شغل اللي عندك at the same time.
Yeah, I can hear.
شغل اللي عندك عشان بعض الأحيان
كان هو قاعد يتكلم.
لأنه
عشان تشوف ايه.
اوكي في اللي هنا على حسب وجه. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بس ما بتقدر تمسك.
دكتور تشي
ايوه
هذا كده حسب.
Test 1 2 3.
بصي بقى عشان
هلا هذه حق الدام يعني
Director in Regional Health Ventures.
أعطيني لا مو كلها.
Test. Test.
ايه صح صح. بعدين درست انا الدكتورة كنت بدخل كنت good evening. Mother, good afternoon. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our panel discussion on technology transplant science. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our panel discussion titled Technology Transfer and Science Bridging Invention in Industry. It's a pleasure to be here among expert, innovator, and ecosystem builder who are driving the Kenyan transformation into a global hub for research and innovation. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our panel discussion titled Technology Transfer and Science Bridging Invention in Industry. It's a pleasure to be here among expert, innovator, and ecosystem builders who are driving the Kenyan transformation into research and innovation. Ideas into combats circular and non-breaking research. It's required effective technology transfer, venture creation, and strategic collaboration with industry. In Saudi Arabia, as we continue to strengthen our national LDI system, bridging the gap between invention and commercialization is essential for achieving Vision 2030 goals of a knowledge-based innovation and driven economy. Today, we are joined by 4 distinguished panelists. Mr. Wasio, our host, Dr. Sheng Beng. Sheng Beng. مع بعض؟ Sheng Beng. اوكي. والله مين؟ مرسيل ما هو دكتور صح؟ مرسيل الدكتور عبد العزيز ورميتي. اوكي. Together, there we go. خليها العقل عشان يصير في
قاعة مرة باردة.
وارسل الموقع مرة واحدة.
موقع ايش؟
الموقع الشير لوكيشن.
اوكي.
Just a reminder.
يوم امس دكتورة من الساعة 11:30.
ايه لا بس 11 ونص مع الكلام عشان يجوا
قصدك انه يبدا اليوم الساعة، هل يبدا كم 10؟
ايه لا بس انت شوفي في الاجنده
بالاجندة الاوبننج ريمارك 10.
والله انا مكتوبه 10 و10
اي هذه بعدها. طيب مرحبا اخوي سعيد، كيف الحال؟ الحمد لله. والله عارفك شو في موضوع المكيف صراحة ما زال بارد في المسرح. لا ما شفته. ما ادري بس القاعة زي ما هي يعني ما تغيرت درجة الحرارة.
If it's full, this one full, it will adjust.
نقصها
ها؟
سكمتي
هي انا من نفس الصف.
لا هو يقول اذا بدون ناس وايد ترى تعتبر اوكي بس قلت له اليوم يمكن او 30
اخف شوي.
مو people.
So they're expecting only like 25.
يقول يبي له 25 دقيقة 20 دقيقة على ما يضبط درجة الحرارة.
طيب
بس اوريدي نقصوه.
كيف ممتاز الله يعطيك
بس شيء
كم
العافية.
عدد يصير
زيادة
هنا؟
زايدة زي هذه عشان نحطها هنا.
كم عندك واحدة؟
هنا
إذا هي 4 هي احتمال الاقي واحدة صغيرة.
كم العدد اللي بيصير هنا تقريبا؟
اليوم مو ينزل عشان يشوفون
عشان يعرفوا ايش الموجود.
انتم متابعين
موجودين هنا طول اليوم.
خلاص اذا صار شوي
عندنا
خلاص.
جلاس تيبل.
تبين كبيرة ولا صغيرة؟
كبيرة أفضل بس ما تكون أكبر من هذه يعني.
لا 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 انا اقصد نفسها او اصغر
أي
منها.
نفسها إذا في مجال يكون أفضل نفسها.
ستيج വീണ്ടും തൊട്ടിപ്പുറത്ത് ഓഫീസൊക്കെ
المكان حر لا كان كويس في البداية كان شوي أمس كان 20
مع الوقفة في ناس كانوا
جميل نرفع زيادة دكتورة؟ لا ما نرفع. لا نرفع
اوكي عليكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our panel discussion titled Technology Transfer Insight, Bridging Invention with Industry. Technology Transfer Insight. Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our panel discussion titled Technology Transfer Insights, Bridging Invention with Industry. It's a pleasure to be here among expert, innovator, and ecosystem builder who are driving the kingdom transformation into a global hub of research, development, and innovation. Around the world, we have seen that turning ideas into big. حسب ما مرة قريب صح؟ Around the world, we have seen that turning ideas into impact required more than groundbreaking research. It required effective technology transfer, venture creation, and strategic collaboration with industry. لا هو المفروض لا كل واحد مايك. Good morning. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our panel discussion titled Technology Transfer Insight, Bridging Invention with Industry. It's a pleasure to be here among expert, innovator, and ecosystem builders who are driving the kingdom transformation into a global hub of research, development, and innovation. Around the world, we have seen that turning ideas into impact require more than groundbreaking research. It requires effective technology transfer, venture creation, and strategic collaboration with industry. In Saudi Arabia, as we continue to strengthen our national RDI system, bridging the gap between invention and commercialization is essential for achieving Vision 2030 goals of knowledge-based, innovation-driven economy. Today, we are joined by four distinguished panelists. Mr. Wasio from KAUST, Dr. Shengpeng from Orbit Startup, Mr. Marcel from NLC, Dr. Abdulaziz Al-Arafi from KEMA. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our panel discussion titled Technology Transfer Insight, Bridging Invention with Industry. It's a pleasure to be here among expert, innovator, and ecosystem builder who are driving the kingdom transformation into a global hub for research, development, and innovation. Around the world, we have seen that turning ideas into impact require more than groundbreaking research. It required effective technology transfer, venture creation, and strategic collaboration with industry. Saudi Arabia, as we continue to strengthen our national RDI system, bridging the gap between invention and commercialization is essential for achieving Vision 2030 goals of knowledge-based innovation, of knowledge-based innovation rather driven economy. Today, we are joined by four distinguished panelists: Mr. Wasio from KAUST, Dr. Shengpeng from Orbit Startup, Mr. Marcel from NLC, and Dr. Abdulaziz Al-Arafi. Together, we will share practical insight and challenge opportunities for strengthening the bridge between research and real-world industry. Please welcome our Please welcome our dear panelists and let's start. Please welcome our dear panelists and let's start by doing a brief introduction about and let's start by reading a brief introduction about
Yes, we need to put two small tables. If you have
تزيد هي 20
خلاص انا كلمت يجيب كذا والمسمى هو نفس خلاص تسجل بس المسمى
What side? No, I will get. Go, get your chair. What area? What area?
Hey, how are you doing? Very good. How's things going on? That's good. Thought I'll just make a quick trip to see what's going on here. Walk around and see what they're doing. Okay, it's us. 10 o'clock, okay?
Yes.
يعني انا ودي اخذ على بالك المكالمه حقه تسمع اذا تسمع الله يطول عمرك جزاك الله خير.
Above my heroes, it's not comfortable.
It's one more centimeter.
You immediately start in. You are right. How do you know?
Major injury. एक्सेप्ट करना।
خير كيفك حالك؟
You will do.
Can you stay for a minute? Let him clean this and this.
ഇപ്പോൾ 2 നേരം ഇവിടെ നിൽപ്പുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. എന്നിട്ട് പോയി. ഞാനിപ്പോൾ ആരും ഇല്ലെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ
ആൾക്കാരുടെ വരുന്നില്ല. ഫോട്ടോസ്മൈലല്ല, ഞാൻ എന്നാണ് ഫോട്ടോസ്മൈൽ പഴയ പേര്. ഇവനോട് കുഴപ്പമൊന്നുമില്ല. അവന് ഈ വൈഫൈ ഞങ്ങളുടെ കടയിലുള്ള ദേശക്കാർക്ക് ഫുള്ള് കൊടുക്കുന്നു, ചുറ്റുവട്ടത്തുള്ള കടക്കാർക്ക് മുഴുവൻ. അതുകൊണ്ട് എപ്പോഴും നമ്മൾ ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക് ഇങ്ങനെ പേരും പാസ്വേഡും മാറ്റിക്കൊണ്ട്.
അല്ല, അത് അവന് കൊടുക്കരുത്. ഈ ഫോട്ടോസ്മൈല് പിന്നെ ഞാൻ നമ്മളുടെ പഴയ
വരുന്നുണ്ട്. ഞങ്ങളുടെ മാം ഇതിനകത്ത് വരുന്നുണ്ട്.
ഫോട്ടോസ്മൈലാത്ത
ഫോട്ടോസ്മൈലല്ല, ഇപ്പം മാം ഫോട്ടോസ്മൈലാണ്.
ഞാൻ ഫോട്ടോസ്മൈലിൽ
ആണോ? പക്ഷെ എൻ്റെ മാമാണ്. ഞാൻ അത് എൻ്റെ ഫോണിൽ കണ്ടിട്ട് മാം.
എൻ്റെ 4G ആണ് കേട്ടോ, വൈഡ് അങ്ങനെയുണ്ടല്ലോ. വേറെ തമാശയുണ്ട്. എൻ്റെ ഈ ഫോണ് എൻ്റെ ഈ ഫോണ് ഇപ്പം ഞങ്ങളിപ്പം STCയുടെ സിമ്മാണ് എടുത്തേക്കുന്നത്. നെറ്റിൻ്റെ സ്പീഡും കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ വേണ്ടി STC ഓഫീസ് എടുത്തു. ഫോട്ടോസ്മൈൽ അത് ഏത് സിമ്മാണ്? എൻ്റെ അത് ചെക്ക് ചെയ്യണ്ടേ? അത് ചെക്ക് ചെയ്താൽ ഞാൻ STC ആണെങ്കിൽ കണക്ട് ആവും. STC കണക്ട് സെർച്ച് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ പറ്റതാണ്. സെർച്ച് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ എന്തായാലും മാം 5G ആണ്.
അത് 4G കണക്കാണ്. 5G നമുക്ക് അത് വൈദ്യുതി ഉള്ളപ്പോൾ 5G കണക്കാണ്. 4G 4G.
അല്ല, വരികയും ചെയ്യാം. ഞാൻ കണക്ട് ചെയ്താലും പ്രശ്നം വെച്ചാൽ എൻ്റെ കാര്യത്തിൽ ക്ലിയർ ആവും. പക്ഷേ ഇതേ വൈഫ് വേറെ ആർക്കും ഉപയോഗിക്കണമെങ്കിൽ അവർക്കൊന്നും ക്ലിയർ ആവില്ല. ഇത് പതിനെച്ചാൽ ഞങ്ങൾ മൊബൈലേ ഉപയോഗിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് മൊബൈലിലേക്ക് സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്തില്ല. അത് വലിയ തലവേദനയായിട്ട് ഇപ്പം എനിക്ക് ഒഴിവാക്കാനും കഴിയുന്നില്ല. എനിക്ക് ഫോൺ അപ്ഡേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ കഴിയുന്നില്ല. ഇത് ഞാൻ ഒരാൾക്ക് ഗിഫ്റ്റ് എടുക്കാൻ വാങ്ങിയ ഫോണാണ്, നാട്ടിൽ കൊണ്ടുവന്നില്ല. ഈ കോവിഡൊക്കെ കഴിഞ്ഞ സമയത്ത് അവിടെ സാധു ഫാമിലി ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അവർക്ക് ഗിഫ്റ്റ് എടുക്കാമെന്ന് കരുതാം. അപ്പോൾ ഇതിൻ്റെ പ്രശ്നത്തിൽ പോകുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് എനിക്ക് ജനീറിൻ്റെ അവിടെയൊക്കെ ഗിഫ്റ്റ് വൗച്ചറുണ്ട്. 250 റിയാലിൻ്റെ ഗിഫ്റ്റ് വൗച്ചറുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ഞാനൊരു 500 റിയാലിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഫോൺ അവർക്ക് ഈ ഗൂഗിൾ പേയും ഒക്കെ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. കുടുംബത്തിന് ഫാമിലിക്ക് കൊടുക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ്. അങ്ങനെ അത് മേടിക്കാൻ പോയപ്പോഴത്തേക്കാണ് ഒരു 500-600 റിയാലിൻ്റെ ഫോൺ മേടിക്കാമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് കടയിൽ ചെന്നു. 0/0 പോയി. അപ്പോൾ അവർ പറഞ്ഞ് ചേട്ടാ ഒരു 1200-1300 ഫോണുണ്ട്, പക്ഷേ അതിപ്പോൾ നമുക്കൊരു 750-800 രൂപയ്ക്ക് എടുക്കാം, ഓഫറുണ്ട് പറഞ്ഞു. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ എപ്പോഴും എൻ്റെ ഗിഫ്റ്റ് വെച്ചുകൊണ്ട് കൊടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അങ്ങോട്ട് കൊടുത്തിട്ടാണ് ഞാൻ അങ്ങനെ പോവായി എടുത്ത് നാട്ടിൽ കൊണ്ട് ഗിഫ്റ്റ് കൊടുക്കുകയും ചെയ്തു. അപ്പം ഇതിനേക്കാളും മോശം. അപ്പം അവർ ചോദിക്കുകയും ചെയ്തു. അപ്പോൾ ഇതിനേക്കാളും മോശപ്പെട്ട ഫോൺ എൻ്റെ കയ്യിൽ ഗിഫ്റ്റ് അല്ല. അത് ആ കുട്ടിക്ക് ആ വീട്ടിൽ വേറെ മൊബൈലില്ല, ക്ലാസ് കാണണം. അത് അറിയാലോ, ആ ഒരു സമയം അറിയാലോ. അപ്പോൾ കൊടുക്കുമ്പോൾ നല്ലത് കൊടുക്കുക. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വൈഫിനും കാര്യം അവളുടെ സ്റ്റുഡൻ്റാണ്. കുട്ടി കൊണ്ടുപോയിട്ട് തിരിച്ച് അടുത്ത ദിവസം തിരിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിട്ടത് ചേട്ടാ ഇത് പിന്നെ എനിക്ക് ഒന്നും വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല, അവർക്ക് ഇങ്ങനെ സാധനം അതാണ്. അങ്ങനെ ഞാൻ കൊണ്ട് കൊടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ വർക്ക് ചെയ്തില്ല, ഗൂഗിൾ പേ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്തില്ല.
ഏത് മൊബൈൽ ഫോണിൽ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്തു?
ചൈനീസ്
അങ്ങനെ ഞാൻ എന്ത് ചെയ്തു, ഞാനത്
അല്ല ചൈനയുടെ മറ്റേ മോഡൽ ഗുവാഹയെ മാത്രം ഗുവാഹയെ അവർ ഗൂഗിളുമായിട്ട് വെല്ലുവിളിച്ച് ഞങ്ങൾ നിങ്ങളെ പോലെ സെർച്ച് എഞ്ചിനൊക്കെ ഞങ്ങളുണ്ടാക്കി
അങ്ങനെ ഞാനത് തിരിച്ചു മേടിച്ചിട്ട് ഞാൻ
നിങ്ങളെക്കാളും നല്ല സെർച്ച് എഞ്ചിൻ അവർക്ക് സ്വന്തം സെർച്ച് എഞ്ചിൻ
അങ്ങനെ
ആപ്പും അവർക്ക് സ്വന്തം ആപ്പുണ്ട്. പക്ഷേ അതുകൊണ്ട് കാര്യമില്ല. ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ ഗൂഗിളല്ലേ ആ ഈ ഹുവാവി വന്ന കമ്പനി
मैं बोले वो
ലോകത്തിൽ ഒന്നാമതായാലും
बॉस है बोले भाई को तुम फोटोग्राफी करो मैं रुकता हूँ
तुम्हें मेन हीरो तो दूसरे काम नहीं मानते हैं
नहीं मालूम ऐसा मत बोलो इसका मैं है ना ऊपर से नीचे
अभी अभी कभी फोटो में भी खराब होगा आज ये भी खराब कर
ये खराब हो अच्छा काम करो दिन नाम रख के
कस्टमर कंप्लेंट
ആസിഫ്
ലോകത്തിലെ ഒന്നാമതാണ് സാംസങ്ങിനെയും ഐഫോണിനെയും തോപ്പിച്ച് ഒന്നാമതാണ് ഈ ഒറ്റ കാട്ടാണ് ഈ ഗൂഗിൾ അവരിൽ ഇല്ലാതെ പോയതുകൊണ്ട് മാത്രമാണ് ഇതുവരെ വളരെ പോകണം
എല്ലാവർക്കും ഉണ്ടാക്കി കൊടുക്കുന്ന ഓരോ കമ്പനികളാണ് ഈ മൊബൈൽ ഉണ്ടാക്കി കൊടുക്കുന്നത്.
സാംസങ് മറ്റുള്ളവർക്ക് വേണ്ടി പോകുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ
അല്ല മറ്റേ ഈ ചൈന ഫോൺ ഫ്രീ കൊടുത്തിട്ട് പലരുള്ള ഫോണുകളൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്ന നമ്മുടെ ഇന്ത്യക്കാരില്ലേ അവരാണ് ഐഫോൺ വരെ ഉണ്ടാക്കി കൊടുക്കുന്നത്.
പുറത്ത് സാംസങ്ങുമായിട്ട് ചൈന ഫോണുകളൊക്കെ ചൈനയുടെ മിക്ക ഫോണുകളിലും സാംസങ് ആണ് ചിലത്
ചൈന ആയിരുന്നു ആദ്യം താമസിച്ച് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്.
എല്ലാ കമ്പനികളും അവരുടെ എക്സ്പെൻസ് കുറവ് പ്രൊഡക്ഷൻ എക്സ്പെൻസ് അസംബ്ലിയും കൂടുതൽ അങ്ങോട്ട് വീഡിയോ ഇന്ത്യയിലും അത് തന്നെയാണ് അസംബ്ലിങ് ചാർജ് കുറവാണ്. പക്ഷെ ബാക്കി യൂറോപ്യൻ കൺട്രീസിലൊക്കെ ഇത് അസംബ്ലി ചെയ്യാൻ അവരെല്ലാം ഭയങ്കര അമേരിക്കയിലും ചൈനയിൽ കൊടുക്കാറ് അവിടെ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ഭയങ്കര ഡബിൾ ചാർജ് കാർ കമ്പനികളിൽ ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ ടൊയോട്ട നിസാൻ പറയുന്ന കാർ കമ്പനീസ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഇന്ത്യയിൽ നിന്ന് സെലക്ട് ചെയ്ത പ്രൊഡക്റ്റായിരിക്കും
ലോകത്തിലെ ഏറ്റവും നല്ല സ്റ്റീലാണത് ഇന്ത്യയിലാണ്. സ്റ്റീലാണ് ലോകത്തിലെ ഏറ്റവും നല്ല ഹാർഡ് സ്റ്റീൽ. വിലയും
मैं कैमरे में एडिट करके दे ताकि काम अच्छा दिया ना वो खराब अच्छा बोलती क्या नहीं तो बेटे तुम्हारी चार लगाएंगे ना इनके सामने अपने ये 4 3 6 12 कितने देगा ये मैंने में कितने काम हुए पता जो काम करती हूँ अच्छा लगता दिन फोटोग्राफी खराब करता सऊदी आदमी बोला सऊदी लड़की बोली समझ में आ गई मारना पड़ता है। क्यों? कौन बोला? अरे मेरे गाँव में दम में मैं पूछता हूँ उसको क्या हिसाब से गलत गलत
मुझे एक्सेस नहीं है भाई जितना भेज सकता है
देखो कितना भी देश मत लगाओ काम करो बाद में बाता सुनना ऐसा कौन भाई मेरे को फोटोग्राफी यार तुम मेरे को इतनी बड़ी मैंने कहीं भी पाँच फोटोग्राफी नहीं आती तुम इतनी बड़ी मैंने कहीं छोटा काम है तो मान लीजिए क्या बड़ा तुम्हारा इम्पोर्टेंट काम है तो हम इधर कहीं भी बोलते फोटोग्राफी नहीं आती बात है खाली नहीं आ रहा तो फोटोग्राफी मैं जाएगा भी नहीं होगा आउटसाइड में फोटोग्राफी हम ऊपर से
40 50 मेरा मैक्सिमम मैरिज प्रोग्राम है मेरा ये महीना फोटो ज़्यादा नहीं है मैक्सिमम 30 फोटो
ज़्यादा मत को एक जगह का 2 फोटो लो परेशान हो रहा है ना देखो तुम भी खपेगा फालतू में ज़्यादा लेके अभी वोट को भाई उन्हें सही बोला ना सही तो बोल रहे हो
जी
قاعد ادور فلاشه بديله. وين الريموفر تقريبا؟ وكانت في الجهاز. معانا تكفي دكتور. بنبدا بعد 10 دقائق. الحمد لله شهر ما هي تم تبعي. نستأذن الخطبة الأول ودي تحصل يمكن شفنا الشبكية هذا اليوم الثاني اليوم
I need the hard disk to transfer the specification to the screen. You have the hard disk, صح?
Yeah.
I need it to transfer my presentation to the screen. So you don't have hard disk.
But where they present?
No, here I'll just move it and then...
They're out?
Yeah. فلاش
somehow hard.
يوم من
أمس كيف السفينة؟ ما هي حافظ.
There is no for card for? No. No. What is it?
How can we get the video? We don't have a hard disk.
They will bring before.
No, not now, please.
ننفذ اي بس الظل ما يدخل خلاص
ايه اللي عندك هذا حق الهيئه فيه اللي هو شفت اللي كان باجتماع اللجنه هو هذا جميل لا هم نفسين
ഓഫ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഓൺ ഓഫായി പോയി ഓഫ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഓൺ
Hi, good morning. Yeah, good morning. Yesterday I saw your video. Try to make it today.
And the beginning or
YouTube, huh?
yes, the voice is clear in the beginning.
In the beginning, but sometimes no, it's
Later it will be, I just
a little bit, not too much.
الحمد لله سيدنا كيف حالك؟ أهلا وسهلا أنا جميلة بالي كيف حالك؟ إيش أخبارك؟ Hi, good morning. How are you? I'm very well. I work at Princess Marine University as a CEO director. And is that? Very nice to meet you both.
We never spoke to Princess Marine University.
You have? Yes, please. Yes, I'm just newly appointed. And I'm a professor at King Abdulaziz University, but I was employed by PNU to do this.
What do you think?
AI.
Oh, that's not much interest. Not much interest in that.
Well, I stopped having interest.
This is really cool. I'm definitely interested.
Thank you very much.
We have a program for garden.
No, actually, I'm attending another meeting in 30.
Okay, so maybe we can get into a workshop.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Stay away. Do you have a preference on where to sit? Do you have a preference where you want to sit? Just on the right, something right center.
ഇവിടെയൊക്കെ ജോലി നഷ്ടപ്പെടും.
തുടക്കത്തിൽ നമ്മൾ ചെക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ റെക്കോർഡ് ഇടാൻ
ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ റെക്കോർഡ് എന്താ ചെയ്യേണ്ടത് ഒത്തിരി ടൈം ശരി ഓക്കെ അപ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് മറ്റേ പ്ലേ ആയി തുടങ്ങും കൺഫേം ആക്കുന്നു
കളർ
ശരി
When I told me it was actually recycled, I did.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and friends of innovation. For those who were not with us yesterday, my name is Abrar Al-Qurashi, and it's my honor to be your MC for the second day of the Second Innovation Districts Forum 2025. As the Research, Development and Innovation Authority is hosting the forum in partnership with Bahrain Technovalley, we welcome you again today. Yesterday, the Second Innovation District Forum covered three main themes: visionary leadership and building the foundation for deep tech, with outlining strategies to empower innovation districts, foster NMC growth, and accelerate deep venture capital. And we ended the day with cultivating talents and showcasing ecosystem success. The discussion offered crucial insights into global innovations and talent development. Now we are setting the stage for today's focus on technology transfer and commercialization. We will just give some quick housekeeping announcements. Coffee and refreshments are available outside the main hall throughout the day. A deep tech startup exhibition is open all day. Kindly keep your mobile devices on silent. Thank you for your attention, and let's begin the program. To begin with the opening remark on RDI's leadership in catalyzing R&D, commercialization, and the national technology transfer strategy, we welcome to the stage Dr. Yazid Al-Askar, RDI Acting Vice Governor for Innovation Ecosystem Development.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, innovators, and partners. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this technology transfer and commercialization event, held as part of the Second Innovation District Forum. Today, our gathering reflects the Kingdom's ongoing commitment to building a strong innovation ecosystem and advancing its transition toward a knowledge-based economy. Innovation and technology transfer play a central role in driving sustainable economic growth and strengthening the Kingdom's global competitiveness. At RDIA, we work to build an integrated RDI system that links research excellence with industrial and investment opportunities, enabling ideas to move from lab to impactful commercial solutions. In support of this mission, RDIA established the National Alliance for Technology Transfer Offices, uniting 7 national entities to coordinate efforts, exchange expertise, and promote best practices in IP management, licensing, and commercialization. Developing national talent is a key priority. Through the Technology Transfer Internship Program, supported by 19 expert mentors from investment, regulatory, and industry sectors, participants received practical experience in licensing and commercialization. The program successfully transferred over 14 patents into commercial opportunities and helped build a national network of practitioners who strengthen the technology transfer landscape. RDIA also has launched the Industrial Innovation Factory Initiative, valued at more than 300 million SAR, in collaboration with the Ministry of Industry and Mineral Resources and SIDF. The initiative accelerates technologies with real industrial impact and supports the growth of high-value industries. These collective efforts have led to major achievements, including over 10% growth in commercialization and licensing outcomes, activating of 16 TTOs in Saudi universities, training more than 400 beneficiaries in RDI fields. Commercialization of 35 national patents and enabling 25 startups in the last 2 years. Yesterday, 2 initiatives were launched with CACS and Umm University to accelerate innovation and strengthen IP commercialization, further enhancing the Kingdom's position in global innovation indices. At RDIA, we believe technology transfer is a national responsibility and strategic enabler of the Kingdom transformation toward innovation-driven future aligned with Vision 2030. In closing, I thank Dhahran Techno Valley and all government, academic, and private sector partners for their contributions. Together, we continue advancing future where innovation and technology drive the prosperity of our nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yazid, for highlighting RDI's initiatives in R&D and commercialization. And now we have a strategic remarks. Highlighting Dhahran Techno Valley's effort in accelerating commercialization and venture building, turning deep tech ideas into successful companies, we invite Dr. Ahmed Al-Fadl, Executive Director of Innovation and Technology Commercialization in Dhahran Techno Valley. Please join us.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to have most of the innovation enablers in Saudi Arabia to be here with us here in Dhahran Techno Valley. Maybe this is a gathering that we haven't dreamt of a few years back. Some of us maybe have been in touch with Dhahran Techno Valley in the past. We've been known to be a science park focusing on innovation, focusing on attracting corporates to do research and development, but not really the kind of science park that will be driving innovation moving forward. This has been within the heart of the new strategy of Dhahran Techno Valley that started 2 years ago, and we started the implementation in January 2025, the beginning of this year. So you've seen the slogan outside, Dhahran Techno Valley, energizing the future. Really, as Dhahran Techno Valley, we are focusing on 5 main verticals, namely the energy sector, water and sustainability, advanced manufacturing, advanced materials and mining, and digitization. Across those 5 verticals, Dhahran Techno Valley are actually being a power hub for more than 22 multinational corporates. Those corporates in the past have been acting heavily in contributing to the tech transfer, the commercialization. Many of the activities that we have in the Science Park actually happened from collaboration between research centers within these companies and KFUPM. When looking at our new strategy and how can we really bring the knowledge, innovation, and collaboration to really have an integrated ecosystem that can really contribute to the new aggressive targets that we've placed in front of us. Dhahran Techno Valley has a target to develop and attract more than 160 deep tech startups by 2030. We have a target to contribute to the GDP by 8 billion Saudi Riyal by 2040. And this will only happen by supporting SMEs, supporting startups, investing in tech transfer transactions. So what makes DTV unique is the integration, the density, and the synergy of its ecosystem. It's built on 3 main pillars. The first one is being anchored across a world-class talent. We are next to KFUPM. We are part of the KFUPM ecosystem. And you know KFUPM since 1963, it's been graduating the best engineers in the country. And as of a new strategy that started a couple of years ago, KFUPM is transitioning into being a research-intensive university. KFUPM, if we talk about a few years back, we almost had very minimal graduate students, less than 10%. Within 3 years right now, the number of graduate students exceed 30%. There was almost no postdocs. Now we have more than 500 postdocs, and we're targeting 1,500 postdocs in the next couple of years. There's been a creation of more than 21 multidisciplinary research centers within KFUPM that we see them as actually one of the main contributors to the innovation in the Bahrain area. The flood of talent that we have from the undergraduate students, the engineers, to the graduate students and the postdocs from research and innovation, they're actually creating a lot of opportunities for us to have cutting-edge, emerging tech that we can actually translate and commercialize and create value as technologies that will actually have commercial impact to the country. Some of the elements that actually we've been working towards to enable that kind of research activities from KFUPM to really feed into the Bahrain Technovalley ecosystem and translate into being successful startups is looking at the bottlenecks from the governance point of view. Just I want to share one example that we've been working with, and we've seen the impact for it in the past few months. For example, the IP policy. If we see most of the universities, if a faculty has an intellectual property and they want to create a startup, they have to go through a typical licensing approach. Namely, they have to give up royalty, equity, some annual fees, etc. KFUPM, they went the extreme. Currently, we've introduced in KFUPM what we call the 000 policy. If there is a faculty who wants to create a startup, they actually don't have to give up any royalty, any equity, and pay no fees for 5 years. Since this has been announced, we've actually been getting a lot of requests from the university faculty trying, and innovators actually, willingly trying to get their research commercialized. Many other examples that we've been looking at beyond the governance is relevant to the infrastructure. Bahrain Technovalley, as part of the revamp, we've been integrating most of the capabilities and resources. So we have been actually bringing under the innovation arm of Bahrain Technovalley specialized facilities. So we have been creating what's called the Dream Realization Lab. It's a one-stop shop product development and prototyping hub. We have the DRL beta in here in the innovation cluster. We are building a 30,000 square meter DRL within KFUPM, and it's actually a prototyping center on steroids. It's going to have all of the elements needed to realize MVPs and prototypes, from the design aspect all the way to the assembly and integration and the launch of those products. We're looking at it from a commercial point of view. We're really trying to bring experts from the industry. We have experts on the ground, have been operating commercial product development and prototyping facilities, running these kind of facilities. We are bringing scale-up facilities that can actually allow innovators to test and pilot scaled-up products, pilots, materials, catalysts, and in a field mimicking environments. And many of those infrastructures actually are still in the planning mode. I'm looking 10 years ahead, really see Bahrain Technovalley to be a test bed, a launch pad, where we can bring innovation, test it, develop it, create the ventures, and even scale it up until it's ready for the launch. The second pillar that actually also we see it as an enabler for Bahrain Technovalley new strategy is the global industry and partnerships. I highlighted that we have 22 multinational tenants. The relationship between DTV and those tenants in the past was a simple lease structure. So they come here, they pay rent, they have to do whatever they want to do from research and development, but really there's no governance. Currently we've created what's called the partnership framework. All of these companies, to justify their presence in the science park, they actually have to agree on a partnership structure that actually enable them to tap into KFUPM talents. It actually require them to work with the KFUPM researchers, to require them to work with the DTV startups and innovators, contribute to the ecosystem. And that's actually where we can provide that kind of support, where startups that we are attracting to our ecosystems, they get the opportunity not only to create their ventures, but to also have piloting means and deployment means. And the third pillar that is actually has been the engine that will help us create the 160 deep tech startups by 2030 is the deep tech commercialization and the venture building activities. Under the innovation and technology commercialization function, we've created 4 new business lines. The first one is our VC. So Bahrain Technovalley in Q1 2026, inshallah, we'll be launching our early stage deep tech VC. It's $150 million that will target investment in startups from the pre-seed stage to pre-series A. And we see it as a very important agile funding component that will allow innovation to bridge that first commercialization value of that. We have a lot of funding available for deep tech, maybe at the accelerated stage, but in the early stage, we see a gap, and we really plan to support and contribute to bridging that gap. The other enabler is the venture builder. So we have been working on developing our internal stage-gated venture building program. That's actually working closely from building ventures, attracting ventures, and bringing all the elements until we get startups to the venturing stage. So on top of the community, in terms of product development and capabilities, we're really heading towards achieving our aggressive targets. We really see that the innovation is about collaborative intelligence, really bringing the collaboration on the ground. So we really invite you to join us in this journey, collaborate with Bahrain Techno Valley. Let's explore together how can we benefit from your expertise and how can you tap into our resources and enablers to really help in energizing innovation, and how can we really achieve the targets that's actually pouring towards the whole national targets that's been set by the 2030 and beyond by the leadership of this country. Thank you very much for being here. I really look forward to continuing the discussion after this session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed, for highlighting the initiatives for DTV and KFUPM towards commercialization. And now we have a panel discussion. This panel explores the technology transfer insights to bridge inventions with industry. We welcome to the stage the panel moderator, Dr. Arwa Thaqafi, RDI General Manager of Innovation Support and Technology Transfer. Please join us, Doctor. And we invite as well Dr. Wasiu Afolabi, Technology Transfer Manager at KAUST. I invite as well Mr. Marcel Wasim, Business Development Director of MENA region at NLC. And we invite as well Dr. Cheng Bing, CEO of Orbit Ventures. Welcome, Dr. Cheng. And finally, we invite Dr. Abdulaziz Al-Arifi, Director of Partnerships at KII MRC. Sorry. The floor is yours.
يعطيك العافية البراء. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our panel discussion titled Technology Transfer Insight Bridging Invention with Industry. It's a pleasure to be here among expert, innovator, and ecosystem builder who are driving the kingdom transformation into a global innovation hub. Around the world, we have seen that turning idea into impact requires more than groundbreaking research. It requires effective technology transfer, venture creation, and strategic collaboration with industry. In Saudi Arabia, as we continue to strengthen our national RDI system, bridging the gap between invention and commercialization is essential for achieving Vision 2030 goals of innovation-driven economy. Today, we are joined by 4 distinguished panelists. Welcome to Mr. Wasiu from KAUST, Mr. Marcel from NLC, Dr. Cheng Peng from Orbit Startups, and Dr. Abdulaziz Al-Arifi. Together, we will share the practical insight, challenges, and opportunities for strengthening the bridge of the gap between research and real-world industry. Please welcome our panelists, and starting with you, Wasiu. Can you please give us a brief about yourself, and then we start with the Marcel as well, and the rest of the panel, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Arwa. Good morning, everyone. It's super exciting to be here, really, because this is one of a kind gathering that is needed. We've seen it in the States, in the US. Originally, for the past couple of years, up to 15 years, I worked in Cape Town, South Africa, also in tech transfer. But earlier, I started my career in the venture capital industry, Prior to that, I did my PhD in chemistry, so I understand the science and the engineering. But what helped in the transition, and it's part of the really good stuff to share in terms of about me. The South African government at that time took scientists and taught them business instead of trying to teach business people science and engineering, which is the other way around. I've co-founded startups, and I joined Saudi Arabian KAUST just under 3 years ago. At a time where KAUST was going through a change strategy. As most of you might be aware now, the strategy for KAUST now is, number one, all our research and our centers are aligned with the RDIA pillars, the core principles of the kingdom. And then the Vision 2030 is our benchmark. I mean, most of the research, most of the innovation that we're doing is aligned towards Vision 2030. And lastly is the tagline around accelerating impact. What does that mean? Optimization. What sort of research are we looking at? So it is in the middle of that, within the TTIO, under the National Transformation Institute at KAUST, I support innovation management and technology strategy. On the side as well, I advise on eventually investing based on the background, and on technology due diligence, working with different corporate and stakeholders in the kingdom. I provide such expertise as well. It's interesting to see his colleagues on the panel, as we've been working with some of them previously. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Sound check. Yeah. Marcel Wassink, the previous speakers have impressed me. They sounded like music to my ears. So that is very, very interesting. We are NLC. We build healthcare ventures, startups, and we invest. And we are an investor that builds ventures in healthcare. We do that based on patents. And we are the biggest in Europe. We have done it over 100 times in 14 countries and also in the US. We've almost built 7 startups. Why are we here? Well, because we see everywhere, including in Saudi Arabia, we see that healthcare is running against a brick wall. Right? The cost increase, the shortage of doctors, it's unsustainable. Right? So, and that's a big issue. At the same time, and actually, we believe innovation is one of the key elements that can help healthcare to remain sustainable. At the same time, we see that large corporates like Philips, I've been with Philips a long time myself, Medtronic, and many others are cutting back significantly on research. So there is this huge gap that is happening at the moment, and we are here. We are here to fill that gap, and we are bringing research into startups. I will explain later how we do it, but I'm very excited to be here in Saudi Arabia. I've just listened to the previous speeches. I've also seen that the number of patents is exploding in Saudi Arabia, which is a very good sign. But in my view, in our view, a patent is not the end point, it's the start point. And I think last year there were around 8,000 patents generated in the kingdom. And I think only 2 or 3% of those have been valorized, which is like 200 or 250. So there is still, you can do the math, there is still around 7,700 patents, only from 2024 to be valorized, right? So we see this huge opportunity. We are focused on healthcare, and I'm very happy to be here. So thanks.
Thank you, Marcel. We're really eager to know more about the maturity ecosystem that you just mentioned. Thank you. It's yours.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Ching-Ping Lin. I'm COO at Orbit Ventures. We are a global investment firm. We invest in what we call new markets around the world. We do tech investments. We are sector agnostic, so we invest across health and fintech, e-commerce, etc. Here in the kingdom, we have a partnership with Sanabil Investments, and through that partnership, we've made 30 investments already. We have an office in Riyadh. And we look forward to building the ecosystems. That's what a lot of what we do. A lot of our strategy is around helping new ecosystems develop and bringing our experience working primarily in fast-growing markets such as China and India. We look to those places for inspiration and for lessons learned, and a little bit less towards the West and Silicon Valley. My personal background, I was in several startups earlier in my career. I also have a PhD in biomedical informatics, and I've worked in government as well as in corporate. So I like to think that I bring all these three things together now in what I'm doing right now in venture to help academics, to help startups really bring all those needed skills together to create ecosystems and ventures. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Abdulaziz Larif. I'm Director of Partnership at Kmark. And first of all, let me express my gratitude for RDI and the Dahran Techno Valley for arranging this amazing gathering and forum in which all the ecosystem is actually working together toward one goal. Personally, myself, for the last 2 years, I have been in a personal mission to understand and to advance and to understand why the biotechnology is not really moving at a fast pace as we expected in the kingdom. And throughout those 2 years, I've met with many scientists, I've met with VCs, clinicians. They all very eager to enter into the biotechnology market as an example, but they are lacking the bridge that links them in a harmony way. And I think when we point out that bridge that links all these very vital elements, I think the biotechnology specifically field has a big chance to move forward at a scalable race. So in today's discussion, hopefully we can highlight the clinical practice in which that include the technology transfer offices and also effective partnership, and how those two components can be a vital vital elements to make this biotechnology field thrive. So thank you for inviting me, and looking forward for the rest of the question from you.
Victor, thank you very much. I think the luckiest audience today who have a background in health, where they see the ecosystem here from venture builder, VCs and research and universities as well. Okay, starting with the first question for you all, our panelists. What are the most critical steps in successfully moving the research to the market? Starting with you, Wasif.
Thanks. Since I'm even closer to the researchers to the university, I should take the graduate first. My colleague from NLC mentioned rightly, last year we had around 8,000 patents, about 200 of those get commercialized. And it's a global phenomenon, it's a global issue. When you go to Stanford, Oxford, anywhere else in the world, you generate a lot of patents, very few of those get commercialized. And when you look at, the Fortune 500 companies as well, IBM is something, they keep filing this patent. The one quick caveat is patent is always forward-looking. Most of the times you're thinking of what's going to happen in 10 years and 15 years ahead of time. But what we should try to do, or what we're trying to do, especially at CALSA, is strategically you can have a pool of patents, whether it solves the immediate problems or it's forward-looking, in as much as you have a budget for that. And the steps in taking research, so you identify some patents or some technologies that you want to take forward. What do we look at? Currently, the definition for us is working with partners and defining the product market fit. Beyond the science, CALSA has been super generous, works with researchers to publish in high impact nature journals. That's a given. Researchers must publish, science must advance, right? But beyond publication, when it comes to the patent, is that we want innovations that could make impact. And the very first definition is a product market fit. When we look at the industry, we work with the researchers to define what does the industry care about? What is their pain point? One, they look at the risk, right? Is your technology, is it the risk, and is it creating any solution to reduce risk for them? We look at the cost. Is it imaginably a really low cost? And relating to the kingdom, right? The heavy one is how do we reduce importation? How do we localize? So most of the raw materials, the supply chain, which is often tied to geopolitics, right? Can we reduce the cost to bring that back into the kingdom? So we look at cost, we look at the risk, and we look at the time. Is the innovation really is it really critical for this time? Is there an urgency? Is there a need for it? So when we look at the product market fit, then we work with you to then define, okay, what are the next steps? What can we protect in your innovation? IP protection is key, and often IP is not only about patents. There are other elements in the IP portfolio that we can look at, trade secret know-how, copyright, trademarks. And I will say that the ministry side is really doing well. I mean, when you look at it globally, enforcement is always a key issue. There are some jurisdictions you don't want to protect your IP because you cannot enforce it. There is no fine. There is, you can literally do whatever you want, I mean, to infringe your right. But SIPE has been, going after infringers. The fine is very heavy. Top-notch when you look at the enforcement in Saudi Arabia. So after we've looked to, prepare the IP, the most valuable next step for us, before we even start speaking to the partners, like to package and show them the solution, is how do we package the solution? We don't want to show them we have a patent or we just have a paper. No, they don't really care about the fancy science. They want to see, even if it's a rough prototype, right? What have we built? What does the MVP look like? And what are the steps or the stages or the support that you need to take it forward? You cannot just have filed a patent and you approach, they wouldn't listen to you. I mean they now, here. So we work with the researchers, at that stage, one, we need to validate the science in the lab and attempt to trial, to get data in real world environment. And next to that is asking them. So this is what I've learned in the past 1 or 2 years as well, especially in medicine. Working with the partners early, so that's my last point before I pass on, in the steps. Working with them early to define what are the metrics, what are the issues, what are the data points that they need. We don't ask for funding early in the game, especially these days. We work with them as partners, strategic partners, give us industry insight. University, we don't have that. So the partnership is another key step that we look at. So it's only after we've, gone through this process, and now specifically I'm talking of how we've been able to translate some of our really amazing technologies. We know what to do, we know what are the next steps. You will notice I've not mentioned funding as a critical factor yet. Then we start looking at funding and how to take it forward. So these are the core 3-4 steps that we have been leveraging, like our page out, and how we do, how I will run any new invention, any new idea to this.
Thank you very much. What about, Councillor Khalabi, Marcel, what about the commercial potential? What step that you take to know ahead an action, any kind of action that you take? This is the most viable commercial pattern that they have a high or strong commercial potential.
Good question. So at KAUST, right, the ecosystem is super integrated. So within the innovation, within the innovation ecosystem, we have the Takadam incubators later, we have and the entrepreneurship guys, we have the investment fund guys, and then we have the technology transfer office working together in harmony. And why do we have to work together in that synergy? There are key skills that needs to be pulled together to assess the commercial potential. Currently, in the university, we take beyond TRL. We take IRL really, really seriously. It's a common language now across the university, investment readiness level. Because quickly we realize you can have a technology at TRL2 and you can get it commercialized. You get a partner, it's a viable opportunity, you get it out there. Whereas you can have another technology in TRL7, 8, sitting there for 7, 8 years and it's not going anywhere. Because you're probably stuck at regulatory, there's no update, etc. So we look at market readiness level, not just talking of the technology readiness level. How do we move things ahead? And also there are some key, and this is where RDIA, the government, will also support the technical officers. We look at other tools and other metrics. We develop business model as rudimentary as it is. we have an idea of what the business model would look like. We developed that early, and the business model canvas. We picked that with our researchers, do the business model canvas. Who are you building the solution for? It fits into my earlier discussion on product market fit, right? So these are exercises beyond the basic science. So we get those data, put them together with what we get for the industry, and sometimes we take a step further. We can do IP evaluation, to say, we rank, we prioritize which ones, will make immediate impact, which ones are the high. When you look at this, these are core skills that, as siloed as they may be, if you put them together, you can then decide on the commercial viability. And you don't have to do that in-house. Oftentimes you can outsource, whether locally in the kingdom, or you get experts to do that for you. And the cherry on top of that is often we don't do it ourselves. We get some of these partners to provide, such insight for us on the technology, especially the interest.
Thank you. Marcel, please.
Check, yeah. So I like it what you say that we start even before you apply for the patent, you start to check with industry partners if it makes sense, right? This is, I think, the good cycle that I just said, the quantity of patents that you have created in the kingdom here. I think now the next phase should be also focusing on the quality, and that's what you get when aligning the stakeholders already from the start. So we see, in order to bring science to life, we see, I want to summarize it in 5 steps. The first step is that we look at the unmet need that this patent can address, and then how big is this unmet need, and are there any other solutions that already solve the unmet need? That's a very important first step. To keep it very simple, number 2 is the patent strong? Can we make it stronger maybe? Is there freedom to operate? Very important for the startup. And the third step is we look at a founder team. Can we find a good CEO? Can we get a good advisory board together? We have a very big network with universities, corporates, and we think it's very important from the start to look at the right founder team of the startup before we found the startup. The fourth step is then for the founder team, or being it the CEO, to show a credible plan to bring this to market, right? Both technical but also go to market. Who's going to pay for this at the end? In healthcare, it's very important to look at that from the start, because in some, especially in Europe, there's many social healthcare systems, it's very difficult to get paid for efficiency increase. And if you get quality increase, you need to get reimbursement from the insurances. So that's the fourth step, right? How do you bring it to market at the end? And then the fifth step is we look at the investment. So that's where we found the company, invest. We get the license deal with the IP owner. And then the journey starts. It sounds easy, it's very difficult, and it's a long marathon. So in summary, I think there's the impact that the patent can make, the feasibility, can it be made, and the viability. Will it lead to a good business that we can then valorize, and where all the stakeholders, including the IP owners, can then have the financial return over time.
What about you, Dr. Michelle?
So, everything my colleagues say is absolutely true, so I don't want to repeat all the lessons that they've learned. But I guess I want to emphasize that we tend to invest in software solutions. So there are patents there, but it's a different type of investment. And so for us, problem validation is really critical. So I can't go on, and maybe there'll be time for that later, about a lot of policy, infrastructure challenges, and all these pieces that we see with commercialization. But none of that matters if you're not solving anything anybody wants. So when we look at how we take innovation, or how we take ideas from laboratory or from the academic setting into commercialization, it is really absolutely about, are they solving any kind of problem that anybody wants? That is, the rest of it, if you don't have that, there's nowhere to go, right? It's you're hanging something off of nothing if you don't have that. So we really look at whether that's the case, and then whether the founders are aware of it. Because the other thing about it is you start with an idea that you're solving a problem, and then you get into talking to customers, as Marcel says, really sort of talking to corporates or talking to any kind of customer, getting a feel for how it is, and then trying it out. And then one of the challenges we find is that we look for founders who understand that they could be wrong. But that's the really key part as well. And I will tell you the truth, having been on both sides, it's very difficult sometimes, I think, in the academic world, having worked so hard on these ideas, having put them into the laboratory, have put our intellectual energy into an idea, to let some of those ideas go when the market tells us something different. So these are the things that we look for, are the people who are able to adapt and look at the realities of the market and being able to be flexible and who know how to operate. That's actually something we look for as well. We will help them with all of the issues with IP or legal or whatnot, but we look for founders who can adapt and who also know how to operate and be able to move and get those ideas into market. So.
Hi again. I guess this is the disadvantage of being the last. I've seen multiple of my ideas that was prepared, was mentioned by Marcel and Jinping, honestly. But we will revisit them again, that one more time, that will not hurt. And probably will elaborate more. So in order for to make a viable link between the research lab and the industry, I think we have to go through 5 elements. First of all, we have to work in a real problem that have value proposition. Most of the ideas, they never leave the shelf of labs because they are not very relevant to the market itself. They don't have a clear customer, or they are addressing unmet needs. And the second, I think the IB related registration should be happening at the very early stage, because simply that's the force or the magnet that will attract funds. It will make them confident to invest, especially in the long term. Also, you need to find the most appropriate partnership from day one. From day one, you need a clinical partner, as a research center, for example, who can do the clinical, who serve as a clinical advisor for you. You can find the big pharma company who can help you to scale up your project, or even a private investor who is willing and believing in your project. And last not least is validation, validation, and validation. Validation, I mean at the clinical stage, validation at the scientific phase, and more importantly, validation at the commercialization phase. Industry like evidence, evidence that the science works, evidence that is scalable, and evidence that there is a market for it. So collectively, if we combine all of these 4 elements, including the clear problem that has a value proposition, the appropriate partnership, the IB at the early stage, and also validation, I think the link would be viable between a lab from one side and the industry in the other side.
Thank you, Dr. Abdulaziz. And then we all agree the early assessment of commercial potential, it's a must. So moving to that, Dr. Shen Peng, how we can turn this technology to be more investable and business opportunity from your point of view?
Well, I'll take a couple minutes to speak about structure, but I actually think Marcel, is much more familiar with these. But one of the things I do want to say, there are some technical pieces to investable. So I will say that in terms of who owns the IP, is that IP transferred to the company? What is the relationship between the university and the company? There are certain, I would say, frameworks that are more investable than others. We've seen this to be a challenge if the university has certain policies that they've decided for whatever reason that I think are not as conducive, I would say, for external investment. I think certainly revenue share is a pitfall, right? And I think as well as not transferring the IP. Okay, so if you don't transfer the IP, I think external investors are going to have a real challenge with that. Maybe my colleague has a different thought, but that's absolutely the case. And in terms of investability, otherwise, I actually think the components that I spoke about before is what we look to be investable. In terms of, we absolutely assess the market conditions and all that, so I won't repeat all of that. But that is really what makes it investable for us, as long as the corporate structures also are in line to make the actual process of investing possible. One of the things I guess I will say, a little bit reflecting what my colleagues have said, is that we take much more of a tact of, we start with an idea. We start with what you say about evaluating the proposition and is it possible. We believe that we have a good starting point, but we really believe this idea that we don't know. Right? So we don't know, and we're going to be able to find out. So we look at early stages, and we think we have a good idea, a good starting point, but then we kind of recognize it is a journey, and we don't know where it's going to go. And so again, we don't think we have the end in mind. We're looking for someone that we can back, and maybe back again, that is going to be able to see the breadcrumbs and figure out where it's going to go eventually.
Thank you. Considering this as an investable technology, and when we're looking at the different type of model to be invested in, for example, a partnership, models, licensing, how do you see it, Merchant, in that sense, since you are dealing with a venture builder and investors?
Yeah, I think the first thing what you say is that you need to work in partnership with the TTO. Right? It's about a trusted relationship. I can tell you that in Europe, I was having fun with a lot of TTOs. I could just walk in there; they were almost like friends, have a coffee, and it would even happen that sometimes I walk in and they just had an invention coming in, like a mock-up or so, and they asked me, "Hey Marcel, what do you think? Should we file a patent for that?" So that's how the partnership should work, in my view, because we have the same interest. Now, what is important at the end, the license agreement is at the end of the day, I think, is the shared interest, right? That we align the interest, so that there is a fair reward for everyone at the end, right? And there is also shared risk, leading at the end to the maximum impact. So what we have seen in the beginning, for instance, in Europe, that was like 10 years ago, huge fees for getting a license fee in place, right? And right now it is much more common to say, okay, we do the shared risk. We say that the IP stays with the university or the corporate. So because the risk is very high, right, in the beginning for the company to not survive. So we say, okay, you keep the IP, but we have the right to transfer the IP when there is an exit or when there is a major investment event coming, right? So that's number one. And secondly, there can be no initial fees, in my view, or very low initial fees, because the startup needs to survive, right? It's in our interest to make the startup going and not just milk it out with high fees. And there can be milestone-based payments as well at the end. While we are open to royalty fees or equity in the company, depending on the preference of the university. Sometimes it's also depending on the country's regulations and preferences. But it's what I say is it's very important to align all the stakeholders in a shared reward, risk, and at the end maximum impact to the patient model, right? Because we are healthcare. Yeah. And I think it would be very helpful if, and I don't know if that's the case already because I'm relatively new, if there are like framework agreements available countrywide where everyone can, every TTO can align themselves. But I will talk about it a bit later, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. As you said, the successful of the partnership, you're talking about different type of models that successfully align with investor researchers and the TTOs. I think everyone is happy. This is, I think, the most. And the agility that what you mentioned, I think this is the most successful for the ecosystem as well.
And don't forget the inventors themselves.
This is
it's their babies.
Yeah.
It's their babies, right? So they need to be involved in the beginning. Not 100%, right? Because inventors are typically, they have different career aspiration. They want to get science and publications going, but they have to be involved in the beginning in the startup because they are the guys or the girls or the people that know all the details, and that's especially the beginning very important for the startup. So we want, often the inventors are the initial CTO part-time or the initial CMOs part-time to bring the things forward, but they're not the CEOs. I just want to say that explicitly. The CEOs is a different kind of personality.
Yeah, mindset.
Right? Mindset, yeah, career aspirations, yeah.
Thank you. Building the partnership and use the commercial ecosystem that we have looking for expanding our partnership with global partners as well. And we know Kmart, they have a different success story in attracting the companies and R&D to accelerate their technology transfer and commercialization. So Dr. Abdulaziz, if you can elaborate more what kind of strategy that Kmart have in terms of accelerating the commercialization.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you for the very nice, excellent question. I guess we have a rich experience at Kmart, how we were able to attract global partners, global technology entrepreneurs or startups, and also mega pharmaceutical companies that want to start a collaboration with us at Kmart. And that is actually titled to 5 clear elements. First of all, massive laboratory infrastructure that we have, and that not only in Kmart, across the kingdom, in many places. Global partners and RD partners, they look and they want to know that you are, as a research center, are willing to work with them and to give them the support they want and to give them access to the facilities that you have. So that's number one. The second thing is about strategically inviting them and aligning them to the strategy that of your own. Meaning, let's assume Kmart is actually focusing in rare diseases. So try to find the partners who are willing to pursue such a journey. And also structure the agreements is very vital in such partnership base. They want to know they are welcome, they want to know they are okay to make a revenue. And also they want to know, and they have to agree to that they have to bind to the technology transfer. Meaning, if X partner somewhere in US and Europe, they have a very unique technology that they are working on, they have to transfer it to our team, to our colleague, and then from there we will start our own project. Also, one of the showcase that we always present to global partners is success stories. Success story is a really attractive to these global countries who are hunting across continents. If they know, for example, at Kmart, that we have a very viable clinical trial pathway and we are willing to expand on that, they would approach us with a very unique, very promising product that might, at one point, change the shape of our world and lead to impactful products.
Thank you, Dr. Abdulaziz. And we know we are running out of time. I just one question and then we end our session, inshallah. We know attracting global partner is one way of strengthening our ecosystem, but we look at the big picture, where is the policy, the foundation of the ecosystem is. So for all the panelists, please, what policy and funding or institutional change that we should consider to accelerate the technology transfer in the field? Starting with the university.
Thank you, sir. Briefly, I'll take it from proof of concept funds. Some universities, already have such instruments. Like I said earlier, when in my opening talk, before you approach industry, you need to have packaged the invention or the technology to a certain stage. But there is that gap between TRL 3-4 to 6. 6, at least you have something viable to show them. 3 is still in the lab, you tried it once. But you need to have repeated it multiple times. Not just you tried it once, you need to show reproducibility. And there's validation that my colleague talks about, it costs money. So from national perspective, definitely there could be more structured funds to look into, translation of digital inventions from university. This is not basic research, and this is not commercialization fund. It's a bridging fund, proof of concept fund. That could be a key one, validation. Then the second is the district is doing really well. This is amazing, but what could be much more interesting, and you've seen, the model often is the fintech, the software, ecosystem. They're always running at the high pace. Is for us to have really specialized facilities or opportunities to develop subsectors. So, for example, if you're looking at medtech, which is the real big thing now moving in the kingdom, right? You need to have avenue or district that's specifically bringing all the players together, like you have reference to. So, for example, if you're looking to do anything, software, wherever, immediately they refer you to San Francisco. You want to do medtech, they refer you to other triangles, Boston or London. In the kingdom as well, we need to have these districts that are renowned, whether due to location, access to skills, or for other reasons, right? We know when you go there, you get your problem solved. Oil and gas is well developed as well, but we need to have the same district or same infrastructure or same community for medtech, AI solutions, space exploration. That is when we can then begin to build the critical mass to expand the scope and to build really commercialize the bigger project industry that the industry really wants, to really look down into those aspects.
Thank you, also.
So you're asking what is the one thing that the kingdom needs to do to advance the most, right? Yeah, I think first of all I'm very excited to be here and see the talent and the number of patents and the clinical institutions, the hospitals. I'm myself currently hosted by Sulaiman Al Habib Medical Group in Riyadh. And it's amazing, right? So these are world-class hospitals, and I see world-class institutes, research teams, doctors everywhere, right? So yesterday I had some really fun conversations with people, and there is a big drive here. It's actually a very positive environment to be, if you compare it to Europe, right? I've been living in various countries in Europe. I'm Dutch myself, and so it's a really exciting atmosphere that you get. People believe tomorrow will be better than today, and then you get really a good spirit. That's key, right, for bringing things forward and believing in stuff. The one thing that I think, and we talked about this yesterday with a few people, we came up with this idea that could be really helpful for us as an inventor and a venture builder and investor, is building like a national technology transfer acceleration platform where we can see the interesting patents coming out easily, right? We've also been talking about it, along with which TRL level they are, so that we know where the invention is headed towards, and easy access to those inventor teams to get a feel for how they are doing, how they see the world, very important. And then based on that platform, so the National Technology Transfer Acceleration Platform, along with that some framework agreements that avoid months or sometimes really years of negotiation with the TTO to get the license agreement solved. In one of the startups that I'm working myself, because I'd like to get my hands dirty, ContextFlow from Vienna, from Austria. It's an AI platform for ChatGPT. We have spent 2 years negotiating with the TTO in Vienna to get the license agreement, right? And that's lost time, and it's just painful, right? So now we see more and more standardized framework license agreements with either equity or royalty, and that makes it much easier. And so that's the one thing that I would, being very humble, advise.
Thank you. It's very insightful input. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to try to be brief, but I have a couple of points. The first thing I would want to see is an increasing development of the vehicles to invest. I know there's been a lot of developments recently on being able to have legal structures and financial structures that allow different share classes, and that needs to, I think, continue to develop to offer outside investors the same types of flexibility in terms of how they invest that they are used to, quite frankly, in other jurisdictions. So that's the first thing. The second thing is actually, it seems like a small thing, but it's actually a big thing that we're seeing, is the things like visas to be able to grow teams. Things like these are very, very challenging right now to be able to have and build companies here locally, and by having, being able to bring in talent when you need talent, have local talent when you can get local talent, and having that mix. And so I believe that to accelerate the growth of these companies, we have to be able to facilitate some of these resources a little bit better. So that's two things, and I think this is my last chance to speak. So I am going to say, in terms of investability, one thing I didn't say is, you know, I feel like if we could all encourage our students and our postdocs to use the same experimental mindset that they use in making their experiments into looking at the data for their businesses, that is what's going to create investable startups. Because I find sometimes that that same data-driven scientific mindset that they use to make the investments goes out the window when it starts to apply to the businesses. So one thing I would say to everybody, since we all mentor students, is to tell them to keep that mindset, and that's going to actually make something that is scalable, has positive unit economics, and that people are going to want to invest in. That's my take home.
Thank you for the nice question. Probably this is my last time to speak, and probably I will start on multiple, like 3 points that might accelerate the momentum towards our goal. And I will start with the last one mentioned by Marcel. I mean, he spent 2 years trying to make the deal. Was it the TTO in Vietnam? In Vietnam? Yeah. In Vienna. So they are tough things. That's something not helping the ecosystem. So speaking in relation to that, our TTOs should have a professional, should have a negotiator, a business developer, and people who can work and quickly in making this deal. Also, clarity is very key throughout this process. Clarity for ownership, for IB, and so on has to be clear and vivid with a clear pathway. And last but not least, smart funding architecture could be a key here. We need to provide funds, not only for publication, but for commercialization, just to spark upon the scientists that if you get reward for publication, then probably you will get more a lot if you commercialize your patent or your work. That will be all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, our panelists, for insightful input. I think the main, or we could say, summarize the main takeaway is the technology transfer or successful commercialization. It doesn't work as a linear process, but it's a partnership between innovator researchers, venture builders, and global partners as well. Thank you very much. And I think for our audience, you have a chance to keep the conversation and close the deals with our panelists in here. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anwar, our moderator, and thank you for our panelists for the great session. And now we will move with a technical workshop on strategies for commercialization to unlock deep tech success. We invite to the stage the moderator, Mr. Mohammed Al-Shehri, RDI Innovation Support and Technology Transfer Director, to introduce the session.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the technical workshop, Strategy for Commercialization to Unlock Deep Tech Success. Today's session brings together experts, innovators, and thought leaders who share a common goal, transforming research breakthrough into a viable outcomes. As we all know, deep tech innovation often originated from years of decades of research and high scientific complexity, and yet the translation is not relying only on a technological excellence, but also on a strategic pathway as an outcome of the commercializations. Today's sessions, we aim to explore practical frameworks, success stories, and lessons learned from global and local experiences that can help bridging the gap between discovery to deployments. Our distinguished speakers who will introduce themselves and share their insights and how deep tech can translate into a sustainable economic value. Please welcome on stage Mr. Mark and Mr. Mohammed Nasir.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mohammed Nasir, and I am the founder of Novalexi. Typo up there. We are the first intellectual property management platform in the MENA region. Proud Saudi proprietary technology, and here to talk about intellectual property, one of our most favorite topics. Mark?
Yeah, and I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Mark Sweet. I'm not as cool looking as Noah is, wish I was. I am a partner at Finnegan. We are an IP-only law firm, international law firm based in Washington, D.C. And again, as Marcel mentioned, I mean, music to my ears today, everything that we're hearing about IP, and I'm going to give you my take home before you even start. I want everybody here in this room at the end of this discussion to really focus and want to be IP enablers, because the fact that everything we talked about is so important to enabling IP and to make the commercialization of your technology work. So I'm starting with the end, but very excited to be here and looking forward to this discussion.
To highlight, this is an interactive workshop, so feel free to raise your hands if you have any questions, so we can all enjoy the journey of this workshop.
Absolutely, thank you so much. The first slide focuses on the pillars that RDIA has announced earlier on when it comes to the different innovation pillars, the health and wellness, sustainability, energy and industrial leadership, as well as the economies of the future. And I think this slide is one of the most favorite and circulated slides about the different types of intellectual property to break them down to, let's say, any form of audience to understand how layering of IP works. And Mark, if you want to talk a little bit about.
Sure, and I'll be very brief because we had this mentioned real quick. I think for this audience, you generally know all the forms of IP. They're all important as IP enablers. Again, it's recognition that it's not just the work that's being done on the lab, the technology, the chemistry, the biotechnology that's being used. It's other things that we want to ensure that we're capturing. And I think the most important, we talked about patents, but it's the trade secrets and the know-how that are also very, very important for all this development that we're talking about. And we were talking about the scientists earlier, the people who are generating the technology and quickly filing a patent and then moving on to something else. What I've seen in the last 5 to 10 years is a much more entrepreneurial spirit coming from these professors and their labs who are doing things, and they're thinking, hey, what is the business? Is the business case for all the work that we're doing? And it's not just patents. It's the know-how that's exceptionally important. There's tremendous value to the venture into a patent and to disclose. There may be extra value to identify it early on, as you heard about, define early on as a trade secret, and then to put the mechanisms in place to protect it. You have to do things right away to get that protection to maximize the potential value when you commercialize.
Absolutely, and I want to emphasize a point here, Mark. In our discussion yesterday, we were benchmarking a Fortune 100 company, and we used the term tip of the iceberg for almost 100,000 patents in their portfolio, compared to potentially millions of trade secrets. that makes up the value of that company and what they do around the world. So again, to Mark's point of having trade secrets and not everything is a patent, and it was also a point emphasized in the panel before this one.
So why are we talking about IP? We're trying to enhance value, we're trying to attract investors, we want to commercialize our work, and then that's going to fund either the current project and or future projects. So that's what we're looking into. If you do IP correctly, whatever form it is, you are going to be attracting investment. It's quality versus quantity. That was said in the previous panel. I'm a big proponent of doing it right, and doing it with a reason. There needs to be a business objective for what you're doing. We're not just filing patents to say we filed 20 patents in our department. We want to be very strategic and figure out what we're doing. So that's how you attract investment. Music to my ears again to Seal Marcel's terminology of people considering, the value of the IP and what are we going to be doing about it, and how are we going to be creative in our licensing agreements. I mean, that's what you want to do. You don't want to be fighting for 2 years to come up with a tech transfer agreement, because that is lost time, and you will never get back that lost time. Your competitors are using that time to catch up to you. You want to make certain you can make a win-win deal so that both sides are working. How do we do that? You're an IP enabler, you understand the business aspect of it, and you're moving forward based on your experience to get a deal done that makes sense in both sides. Other value, you get the market exclusivity. Again, that's where time comes into play big time. You don't want to waste those 2 years. You want to get on the market first, establish the prestige of your company, of your venture, and then you're going to reap the financial benefits of that. It's a huge, tremendous incentive to do that. And of course, all this that we've been talking about, our corporate ventures, we want the collaboration agreement, we want the joint development agreements, we want it to be a win-win situation, so both parties will continue to participate. It's just going to build. It's like a snowball. It's going to keep building and building, because people are going to see the success of doing it the right way, and more people are going to be involved with it.
Absolutely, Mark. And I think a key takeaway here on this slide would be that businesses should, I think, in the MENA region should begin to look more at intellectual property as a form of asset, because it truly is. And it's actually classified as that, and the intangible assets. So that increases value of your company, potentially, arguing valuation against your investors if you're a startup and trying to get a cap table put together. So it's a very important aspect that is often overlooked when it comes to viewing IP again as an asset of your business.
So what are some best practices? Again, we're just not filing a patent to file a patent. We want to have a basis for what we're doing. We want to make certain that we have a core business that we are focused on, and this is why the invention and the innovation is occurring. But we also want to take a bigger approach. We heard in the previous panel, if you're talking about IP, sometimes you're talking 5, 10, 15 years down the line. That's certainly a certain aspect to it, but that's a forward vision. I also want a horizontal, expansive vision. What I call core adjacent considerations. We are doing this technology, and we're focusing, for example, on innovative water treatment, okay? And that's our core business, and we jumped into a JV where we're looking to come up with the best water treatment processes that we can for the kingdom. That's great, and you've got big R&D departments working to solve those problems and provide solutions. But while that work is being done, our really smart scientists, R&D departments, have realized that, hey, this technology may be working on some sort of treatment or filtration for other forms of water. Consider brine, for example, okay? So you're looking in a different area, it could be a different country, different part of the world, people have a problem. How do we extract minerals, valuable minerals, lithium, for example, because they're needed batteries. So people are looking to extract lithium in any and every way possible. all of a sudden, this water treatment technology has the potential to be used to be able to extract valuable minerals from a different water source, brine. That's something that is nowhere near the core consideration of a company of treating water for municipal services. But it's a core adjacent thing that could provide tremendous value to the JV. So, it's a thinking person game. Not only my counsel, not only do I want you to look 5, 10, 15 years down the road and make certain that your IP is protecting those business objectives, but also look out. Look out. How are there core adjacent business opportunities that may be valuable? And I think if you take that approach, all of a sudden you look at the work that you're doing, and some of those projects that kind of have been pushed to the side because nobody's really interested in it, you may realize you have some jewels sitting on the shelf that nobody's paying attention to. So you want to go back and harvest those things and try to attract value from that as well. So here, I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this slide. The main thing for me, it's early IP assessment. You want to get all the information. What do you have? Again, the core technologies, the core adjacent technologies. How can you capture that? How can you organize that? How can you tell a story to your potential partner? You're looking to monetize your IP. You're looking to monetize all the work that you've done. You want to be able to tell a very compelling story. And you do that by doing your assessment. You're focusing 100% on these emergent technologies. That's when you started the project in the beginning. But what is everything that's in place? Do you have the systems that are protecting the trade secrets, for example, that I mentioned? Do you have an IP policy in your JV, in your company, in your university that is going to be compelling and attractive for potential investors? We heard in opening remarks about a very innovative IP policy. So it's an IP policy on innovation that it in of itself was innovative with the 0-0-0 approach. I never heard that. But again, that's the definition of an IP enabler. You're creating an environment where you're encouraging people to participate. That's exactly what we're looking at. And that's going to lead to the collaboration agreements. That is going to lead to the tech transfers, the licensing, the spin-offs, more and more people getting involved, and it's just going to be a cycle that, if it's working right, just keeps repeating itself and building on itself and adding tremendous value to the kingdom.
All right, and from research to market, we had a couple of interesting discussions on the panel today, and I think that one of the most common discussions that we hear in rooms bridging tech and investors is, well, investors' appetite to take risks in early stage of funding, but then there is this gap between academic research that is existential and very important, and the let's say more directed approach to problem solving, as in researching the market and then fixing a problem in that market, and that's where investors would be very attractive to see that. But the world has shown us that some really advanced scientists out there, sciences and science applications, for example, in quantum computing, happen because of academic research in quantum mechanics, for example. And likewise with many other advanced technologies, it was just an academic research that later on turned out to be very beneficial and of commercial value. But again, I think the gap here should be bridged by both increase of investor appetite and risk appetite with investors, and the collaboration and partnership between the private and public sector, as well with the R&D, let's say laboratories from the back end. Go ahead, please.
A point to raise here, maybe if we go back to the knowledge of those related to the IP assessment. See, looking at it from a market perspective, what are the important elements here of the assessment taking into consideration the that will happen in the future?
Sure. So I think when you're doing, you gave me a simple sounding question that of course has a difficult answer, but I'll be very brief. You want to look, what is the technology? And of course, the first thing, easiest thing is do we have that description of the technology in a patent application somewhere? And does that description match up with what the perceived commercial product is going to be? You'd think that's a no-brainer, easy answer, yes. But sometimes during the prosecution process of this patent application, there's a negotiation with an examiner, and the rights of the patent, which are conveyed by the claims at the back, the words that describe what the invention is, it changes during the negotiations, and we have to add more words, more limitations. And as a result, sometimes the claims that come out at the end of the process don't really cover what you think it's covering. And that could be a fatal error. So the first thing that you do is look at what written IP that's been submitted to a patent office around the world. What is it, and does it match up with the commercialized product? We also, the assessment, we want to make certain that the rights to that technology are locked down based on agreements, a joint development agreement, a employment agreement, an agreement with the university. You have those things locked down, so ownership is right there. You know what you're getting. Those are the two main things that you need to look at really on with assessment. The third one, of course, is has there been any sort of disclosure? If the core innovation is based on a trade secret that you don't want to disclose, and that's the value, you want to make certain that the protections are put in place so that disclosure did not happen. Because again, if there was an inadvertent disclosure, in my world, that's a royalty-free transfer of technology, which is the worst possible thing you want to do, obviously, for commercialization. So you want to make certain that all the protections in place with respect to trade secrets and know-how are also rock solid.
So that's from the legal perspective.
Also, the right timing of announcing.
Yeah, absolutely. All of that is, so I think Mark covered the more legal side of it. So if you think of more of the commercial side of it, first of all, the right timing. I think that's critical. Understanding the problem again that you're facing and you're trying to solve. How do you approach it? How do you package it? And then, I think it's very, very important that we understand that ready commercial products are viewed typically from investor point of view as a full portfolio of intellectual property. It's not just like whatever patents that we have. It's the trademarks, the trade secret in place that protects those. It's the filings that you have and with jurisdictions, and then you dig deep the claims and conduct a legal due diligence, thorough due diligence on how commercial is this patent. Bridging the gap is key, and I think two main points. The first is increase risk appetite for investors. I think that the U.S. is a pretty leading figure there with $4.2 trillion invested in 2024 in driving innovation. So that's risk appetite. And then, making sure that there's the public-private partnership in place with the R&D facilities in a sustainable manner where we're not dismissing academic research, and we're also entertaining real-life problems, whether in construction, in petrochem, in biotech, or whatever other form of business, because problems happen every day, and we look forward for researchers to come up with solutions, and then the ecosystem would commercialize it, and sustainability grows. All right, so the innovation landscape, I think I've been in the kingdom since 2017, and I personally have seen a lot of evolution happening from the establishment, I remember, of Munsha'at, the ecosystem fostering, and then the Saudi Authority for Intellectual Property, the VC world, and fast forward to today, and it's very a personal pleasure and very cool to see where we are heading, inshallah, moving forward. So I think that the innovation ecosystem is growing. I think we're getting key stakeholders nationally and internationally to participate and take part of the cycle. And we're adapting global best practices when it comes to both innovation and intellectual property frameworks. Do you need to add anything here on this one?
So let me just finish with this, and before I do, again, thank you all for for coming. Remember, I'm charging every one of you to become even bigger IP enablers than you already are. What Mo said is very true. I started coming here, I think, in 2018. It's right when Vision 30 came out. And again, I'm a patent attorney, chemical patent attorney by nature, kind of geeky. And to hear just with Vision 2030, the focus on IP was tremendous because people aren't normally talking about IP. And the strategic vision is really incredible. And since 2018-19 to now, the change has been incredible. I'm not going to talk about branding too much other than to say, when we got here, whenever you said IP, people thought about trademarks and only trademarks. They thought that is it. And it's expanded so much since then. And let's talk, it's really not a war story, it's a success story, but of how a university started innovative product became an investment that yielded $500 million for a U.S. petrochemical company. The technology was a commodity polymer, polyethylene terephthalate, PET, which is used to make all of the water bottles that are sitting on the tables. And the innovation was truly a garage innovation where these two professors, off hours, worked in their garage and made a PET reactor out of PVC pipe. And the way it worked, they let the chemical reaction push the monomeric components throughout the whole process to make the polymer. And the key thing to this is they could do this whole thing without external pumps. So the energy that was involved to make it, super low. The size of the plant was a quarter of the size of the plant. So it's a tremendous value. They were making something that was on the market, but they could make it at such a reduced cost and just a lot less bad byproducts during the process. So obviously they got a lot of interest in their innovation from big players in the chemical field, both U.S. And international chemical companies. So it actually turned into a bit of a bidding war to get involved. And the reason it was successful is that the university professors had good support from their university. Rights were solidly assigned to the university in a mutually beneficial arrangement with the professors. So these guys were doing their work, but with their entrepreneurial hat on. They're like, I'm doing this, but I'm thinking as a startup, not just a professor who must do something to publish it. I'm doing this to generate a business. And then they did that. And then we were able to use the different levers of IP to go in there and make certain that basically every single turn and elevation that was in this plan was covered by different forms of IP. We didn't just have one patent to cover this thing. We knew right off the bat, we did the early IP assessment, that this is going to be valuable, and the way to maximize the IP value was to draft, different applications to different portions of the plant. So literally, at the end of the day, we had over 28 patents total that were covering all the different portions of it, and that really made the IP very defensible. It's very hard to challenge 28 patents if somebody's trying to knock them out. So that adds value to the company. So this is something that was successful because we thought about the business objective at the beginning. We were able to maximize the different forms of IP. We had engaged inventors with the entrepreneurial spirit. And at the end result, again, was a sale of a company for $500 million for the chemical. So it's a fantastic success that just started by asking the right questions at the very beginning.
And having the right defining strategy in place. And this is where you could see the overlap between the intellectual property strategy and your business strategy. They have to go hand in hand. You have to look at your strategy house. We're very familiar with strategy houses in business. I think most of us have seen a lot of slides that include strategy houses. And you want to make sure that there is an IP strategy house that literally overlaps and matches your business strategy. Beginning with the geographical locations, type of filings. Again, you hear about one polymer and then 28 patents for the different applications, so you can have that, as very wide angle of protection and makes your portfolio defensible and hard, to basically knock off, which is, further bolsters your position in front of your potential investors as an entrepreneur, and increases the business valuation overall. Did you want to have any comments? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, the final slide would be the key takeaways. So I think this is, and it's hard, you guys. Like I read a report, I think earlier this year, and it said that France ranked #1 in the world 2024 for commercialization transfer. So tech transfer offices performance, if you may, 22%. 22% of all the R&D happened in France, got commercialized. So it's not an easy thing to turn from lab to a commercial product. It's a challenge, and it's a beautiful challenge because you see the balance there between academia research for future potentials and then the current, fix for today's problems, because problems evolve as we do as a society or as a civilization, and that's where you need the smart brains of scientists to continue to innovate to fix these problems. So again, researchers, universities, and businesses, and of course the government and policy, and I think that all of us are very lucky to be in the kingdom for the very rapid advancements in policy and governance framework, led by Vision 2030 transformation program. So I think that is, already very moving forward. I think there is some bridges to gap again between businesses from an R&D perspective as well as an investment appetite perspective, linking back to researchers and universities.
Yeah, and lastly, I'm just going to point and emphasize this one again, because the innovative IP strategies that we have in place, they keep growing. Do everything that you can to keep incentivizing those changes, because it's just going to make the IP ecosystem that much stronger in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you both very much for that.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Muhammad, for the great session and sharing all of your knowledge. I really appreciate it. I encourage
having
you
us very
to
much.
share, if you have any questions or comments, please approach him. And thank you very much. And we turn it to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for our moderator, and thank you, gentlemen, for the session. All right, so for the next 2 hours, all participants are invited to enjoy refreshments, networking, and visit the commercialization-focused booth at the main hall. For TGO leaders are requested to proceed to their meeting room at the first floor. It's an invitation only for leaders organized by RTIA. And the invited ecosystem enablers are requested to proceed to their meeting room on the second floor for the innovation on the round table, powered by Siemens Healthineers and Rafiq AI Center of Excellence, exploring how to activate and scale up new startups and co-create strategic programs. Finally, let's remember that we are all collectively pioneering in Saudi's innovation district beyond 2030. Thank you so much for coming.
एग्रीमेंट में एक वो बस वो ये उधर नहीं चाहिए भाई उधर है तो भाई क्या उधर नहीं चाहिए
12 बजे स्टार्ट है, वहाँ एक यहाँ से फिनिश
तुम जाके
फिनिश नहीं
भाई
फिनिश नहीं
उधर जाके फोटो लो
बहुत 12 बजे तक ब्रेक टाइम है
फरान
15 मिनट का टाइम है फिर ऊपर चालू ब्रेक कितना इधर खत्म हुआ इधर खत्म करो
पूरा
खत्म हो स्क्रीन भी निकाल नहीं
वो मजाक करना कभी निकाल लो
कंफर्म है तो कस्टमर से कंफर्म कर लो है कस्टमर से
after 15 minutes you come outside take photos okay ऐसे मेरे को बोला and videos okay चल
हाथ जोड़ू तेरे भैया
तुम मेरे को ऐसा बता मैं तुमको
मुझे प्रॉब्लम वाली
मगर ये अपने गाँव का नहीं
ये
केरला का नहीं है
मगर ये खाना जो खाता है कैसा खाता है बड़ा ये वो
केरला नहीं जाना तो केरला ही चलो
हाँ चलो
चाय पीजिए
काम करो
खत्म हो ऊपर जाना चलो
जल्दी ऊपर जाए
जा 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 नहीं इसको जाना भी चाहिए ये गंदे गंदे
जो हाँ उन्हें उड़को
हाँ मैं ले भी जाता
इंटरव्यू എടുക്കാം ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്യാം
हाँ എവിടെ മില്ല
താഴെ കാണും